start now. Okay, brothers and sisters and other invited guests, we're here today to talk about a controversy that seems to have erupted around an album called All Is War, The Benefits of Jihad. And my name is Ken Farrar, I'm a film director. I made a film called Injustice about murders in police custody, which had similar problems, had the same censorship, the same circus that follows, which flares up and then dies out when there's something else to write about. I'm going to start by introducing the three people that are here. We're expecting two others. Nawaz in the centre, who you all know, I'm sure. John Pandit from ADF, and Shara Ali from the Green Party.
There's lots and lots of people out in the towns of the north, young guys who are totally frustrated at what's going on because the manner of the debate and discussion is being stifled. They can't talk about the issues. People are saying, but you live in a democracy and you should value that and you should submit to it and be passive about it. You should be thankful. But this democracy is going around killing, murdering, slaughtering women, children, and far more innocent people than actually being killed here. But that seems alright, and that seems acceptable. And there's been so much, I've done so many interviews, and it seems absolutely, it's just impossible to believe that nobody seems to, a lot of the press don't seem to understand that we value life here, there, and everywhere. And but this is a kind of colonial mentality that is epidemic and rampant. And our kind of intelligence is being insulted. And we're told to start behaving like some kind of slaves. And I find that absolutely unacceptable, and I refuse to keep my mouth shut. And people are saying, oh, we should arrest you, we should do this. And the police are trying to stop me talking in Oxford on Sunday at a very interesting and very nice kind of interfaith forum. And it just surprises me at the kind of, this kind of mentality which is saying you must accept all the parameters of the debate, all the conditions of the debate, and you must almost like pacify yourselves. All the moderates who are going into 10 Downing Street are walking back out with their trousers around their ankles. And it's just hilarious. And most of them moderates are actually going in because there's a pot of gold, which they can get their dirty clothes on. For me, I said to people, I don't want your money. You give me a bag of chips and I'll tell you where the problem is. We don't need money to solve this madness that we're involved in. But this is the system which is just totally taking us for a ride. So I have decided that this album, we had to speak out, and we'll continue to speak out. And the only way they're going to stop me from speaking out is if they chop my tongue off and put it in a prison cell.
Every time we have an instance of alleged plot, we get the mass hysteria about how can we then minimise.
If it has to be far better people than me have sacrificed far much more. I'm just doing music and I feel embarrassed. I even think music is so insignificant with the kind of intensity of everything that's going on out there. And for people who know my background, I've sat and debated with Hells Angels, hippies, Satan slaves, ravers, hip-hoppers. I even make it my business to meet them kind of people who talk about Islam in a very uncomfortable way. But then after a while, after they've got rid of their exterior kind of anger, I realise that what they're talking about is very similar to what the rage that the most liberal and the more secular Muslim is talking about. So somebody has to speak out, and somebody has to confront the madness that is in front of us. And You know, some people say, oh, you're going to sell a lot of the album. I can actually sit here and put my hand on my heart and say that, you know, whatever sales we've had are absolutely embarrassing in terms of the kind of media. Money is not an issue. I'm not even interested. What is an issue is what's going on out there. And this divide that's being created by us, between us. And it is really, you know, people talk, well, what is it? What is making these people do this? And I say, foreign policy. They say, no. I say, yeah. They say, no. I say, it starts at foreign policy and it ends at foreign policy. You can talk, you can go around the houses 100 times. If you don't stop this foreign policy, it's going to carry on. Then they say, well, does that mean we're going to give in to the terrorists? I say, no, it means that you're giving in to your own terrorism. It's your terrorism that's causing these kind of reactions everywhere and anywhere. And most of the guys who have been brought up here, who are doing this kind of thing, have probably danced as hard as I have grooved as hard as I have, and they've done all these things, but they cannot stomach the injustice that is going on. Statistically, which this society loves talking about, Muslims have actually still got the moral upper ground, because you've killed the actual reality and the problem that we've got is beyond that. A lot of people say to me, if you don't like it, why don't you go back? Right. And to me, that is what the BNP used to say to us.
Go back where?
Yeah, well, I mean, wherever. And it's like, it's actually a racist question in itself, because they wouldn't say the same thing to, say, Louise, if she objected to what they were saying. They wouldn't say, why don't you go back? Or, you know, they're saying it to us because we've never really been, whether you like it or not, and I can probably, you know, we've never been seen as equals right from the outset. You know, my father's time, my time, the new generation, they're all as you know, just repulsed by how society sees them as the other, and it continues to demonize them and racially abuse them in very different ways, in psychological ways as well. This society is showing its, you know, it's almost like we've scratched the surface, and it's shown its kind of almost genetic racism against people. Collectively, a whole community has been demonized, asked to apologize for the acts of a few people. I mean, you know, why do I walk around and asking every English person to apologize to me for you know, for the people who are killing me in Afghanistan? I don't work on that. I mean, there's just something spiritually you know, amiss. There's something wrong with this society in terms of its thought processes. It hasn't developed as it claims it has developed, and that's, you know, and that's a sad. So, you know, I take great sadness and no kind of glory in saying that. Now I can go to 100 young guys on the streets, and it doesn't matter how much I try to talk to them, all they want to hear is this government has stopped killing Muslims, and then they won't even think about anything other than that. And until this government and the West stop this kind of whatever this, you know, whatever the intention they're trying to carry out, until they stop it, there's going to be things going off here, and it's going to get worse. I know non-Muslims who are so angry. You know, they keep saying, "Come on, Aki, let's go," and I say, "Let's go to Asda." Right? Let's just go to Asda and do some shopping. Right? We've got to calm down. Now, if I was to do anything like that tomorrow, it's not because I've got some great notion of spreading Islam and I want everybody to become a Muslim. I'm going to do it because I can't handle the injustice anymore. I can't pick up the Guardian anymore and see that Donny Blaze, you know, he's a criminal, he's a murderer. You know, somebody should, I think somebody asked him at 10 Downing Street, how does it feel to have killed 100,000 people, and he stood up all kind of righteous. It's 50,000 actually. What kind of Prime Minister have you got? And I'm addressing the non-Muslims here. What kind of Prime Minister have you got? Well, why are you not doing anything?
Yeah.
Don't hurt anybody, but there's buildings to burn. There's symbols of the state. You do one, you do two. If the war in Iraq could have stopped, if civil disobedience would have taken one step further, and people would have become proactive. Something could, we could have stopped it. And I'm embarrassed I didn't stop it as well. Don't worry. I had the BBC outside my office, and one of the journalists there was on the phone to the Home Office. I could tell you so many stories of what happened with the album. He was jumping up and down. He was demonic. He was almost changing colour. And he was going, I've got this guy here, he's wrote these lyrics, are you going to arrest him? And I don't know what the other guy was up to say. And he goes, no, that means your law is a load of rubbish. You can't take it out. He goes, no, he's written this, he's inciting terrorism. To me, it's in terrorism. Why don't you come and arrest him? We're at 19 All Saints Road, come and get him. And the guy is jumping up and down. I'm looking out of my office, I was like, shit. This is serious. This is serious. But it was almost like a comedy. And the way people kind of... I'd have like the MP, Michael Gove or something on TV, was there to push his book about 7/7 and accusing me of trying to release an album round about 7/7, which it wasn't even intended, it wasn't even manufactured, it wasn't even ready. So it's this kind of racism. This racism is so prevalent out there, and it has to be dealt with because it's a part of the anger. Now BBC crews can't go to Oldham or Bradford or Leeds, and I'm getting so many phone calls, will you come up with us? It's like, no, F you. Go up yourselves, because everybody's now, all the young guys out there saying, we're going to nick them cameras. We want to make business out of this. They're making business out of our pain. We're going to start nicking their microphones. And if they drop the trousers, we'll get the trousers as well. So...
See, quite a lot of young Muslim men who definitely feel very angry. But this is what the state does, doesn't it? The state is actually succeeding by dividing us. And the thing I'd like to ask the panel is, how do we help Muslims and non-Muslims in this country to get together to actually fight against what's been happening, rather than kind of like going back into our own so-called own communities, where actually we're more prey for the conservatives among those communities?
All I can tell you, and I'm not one of them moderate guys, moderate Muslims walking in and telling lies and being deceitful and being dictated to. All I can tell you is foreign policy. You don't stop that, you ain't going to stop nothing. That's all it is. It's the beginning and the end of it. It really is. Because we've had racism here for how many years? No, you haven't seen kind of people got strap bombs to themselves. People talk about unemployment. We've all had unemployment. We had strap bombs on ourselves. Come on. You try to make us out to be some kind of idiots. Well, this is a problem because this is where the young people part company with you, because they say, unless somebody does something which really gives us a great sign, then, it's not good enough. They're watching the slaughter of human beings. I've met so many journalists over the last few weeks, and I've said to them, do you care about the deaths in Afghanistan or Iraq? Well, no. So why? Why do you care about the deaths just here, not over there?
Because that's what I paid to cover. So.
Well, I'm not. I mean, this is a genuine question to them, not as a... it's amazing how many people I've met from here who actually say, well, we don't really care about what goes on there. And a lot of them young people know that a lot of people's, the perception they have is that a lot of people don't care about the deaths across there. Now they're not as, and they're not as well, informed as probably some of us here are about what are things, what's going on. But that is where the problem is. So, we either stop paying our taxes and stop contributing to terrorism, because we're all contributing to terrorism. So are we going to now create a movement to say we're not going to pay our taxes? The social forum when it was in Mumbai, there was all these people from the West come down, and they were trying to stop Coca-Cola, for people who know about this. There were all the Dalits there. These are the people who were on the front line. And all these people say, you've got to keep fighting. Coca-Cola, keep fighting it. And one of the women stood up and she says, we've been fighting it. Every day we're fighting it. Every day our kids are getting killed. Our fathers are getting killed. What the fuck are you doing in London? How many of your people have died? So, when you say it depends on the anger and the direct, this is where we part company. This is what I don't understand. Is there's murder, there's slaughter. The government here is slaughtering people. And who cares if a building goes up in flames? If it's going to save 200,000-300,000 people more, do you really care? Why are you being so conservative with your direct action? We're talking about saving people's lives here. And if it means a couple of town halls have got to be burned, well then let's do it.
Like ranging from whether it's legal, like Hamas or whatever, they got voted in and they were seen as still as bad, or Hugo Chavez, he's seen as bad as well by Americans. Where are the margins for people to kind of spread hope, and what are the steps that you lot see, like for people to actually start trying to, it's like revolution's illegal now, and what steps do you lot see for people to actually kind of regenerate that?
Revolution's always illegal. It's the methodology you use, isn't it? And it's slow things because it's not just about stopping a war now, is it? Inheriting capitalism in the globalization is war. It's inherent in the process of capitalism.
Like buildings, and people seem to be really concerned about buildings. The people that blow up buildings or blow up themselves, blow up other people, they weren't born with fucking sentence in their hands. They weren't born with the finger on the trigger. They were born normal like you and I, and they've been through, from the moment they were born till the time that they blew themselves up, some things have happened to them, right? And so what I'm trying to say is that they just didn't come out of their mother and then, right, I'm going to start killing some people, right? They've experienced some serious shit, right? And generally, these people that are, let's say, suicide bombers or people that blow up buildings and hurt bricks, right? They try to have debate and they try to discuss with people who've been actually killing them about what's happening, right? And frustration is taking a point. So some people go off and do music. Great. Some people paint about what they see. Great. Some people write poems. Some people get involved in direct action. A lot of things aren't working. People have gone and say, listen, you're killing me, right? The South Africans, right? Black South Africans, for 50 years, went up to the man and said, excuse me, we're going to talk about this apartheid situation. And what did Afrikaner do? He just fucked them more. So what happened? Nelson Mandela, he set up uncomfortable streets with, right? The armed military wing of the ANC, right? But it wasn't his first choice, right? He said, okay, what we're going to do? We're going to target military installations, right? So that's what they did, right? And I'm not saying it changed apartheid, right? But it was part of the process, right? And all these things are part of the process. Peace is part of the protest, right? I'm pissed off right now, but I'm a peaceful guy, right? I'm pissed off because there's no peace, right? So we have to fight for peace. And some people can walk and go and talk to the man down the street. Great, right? I admire that. It's great. I used to be like that. And I was going to do that tomorrow. But maybe later in the day tomorrow, I might be really pissed off, right? Because the only response that I've had for my words is another slap around the head, another child has lost their mother, another mother has lost their child, right? So please, right, don't just go off and say, suicide bombers, rah, 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 you're bad, you're just as bad. They are not just as bad, right? Because the people they're fighting against, right, are premeditated, cold, heartless motherfuckers, right? All right? And you know it, and you know it! You know it! You know it's true. You know it's true, right? These people will go to their jobs, they leave, they kiss their wives, goodbye, see you tonight, right? That's what Cookbook DIY is about. That people are all making all this fuss. Oh, it's a track about suicide bombers. Well, let me tell you, it's a track about suicide bombers. It's a track about mercenary, and it's also a track about the government scientists.
Marches.